I'm going to show you how to spray this rocker panel with a little mini touch-up gun. Just all this dull area here, and just up to here. And what I'll do is, once I get it masked up, I'll bring you back and I'll show you all my other equipment, what you use to do it with. You just got to take these bungs out, clean it up, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so I've got this car masked up. Give you a walk around on it. What I'm actually going to do, I've got a piece of tape here to stop overspray from going underneath the car, and I've got this all masked up, so it's all got a soft edge under there, all nice and neat. Right. And the reason why I've got this car cover on it is because the sun's, it's sitting out in the sun, the car, and the plastic in the sun gets hot and will start. It's going to be quite hot today. I've got my compressor here. I'm about to unpack the compressor. That was my masking tape. What I got, I sprayed this car, and when I sprayed it I never had enough room to do under the rocker panels, so I'm just going to do a little touch up today. First of all, I'll get some, that's me softback sand and sponges here. These are like 400 grit, very handy. It's rough like paint. I do have some of this mask tape here, which I don't need to use. Got myself some rags. I've got the original colour I sprayed the car with in a can. It's the exact same colour. I bought extra when I sprayed the car, which if you ever spray a car, you should make sure you get at least 5 litres of paint, so that way if you ever need to do a touch up in the future, even if it's 2 or 3 years later, you can get the exact same colour. I see that many people, they get cars and they go to get their paint and they never get enough, and then when they need to do a touch up a couple of years later, they've got to get it mixed up, and the person at the paint shop, they're such screw ups, they can't even get the same colour again. So you've got to make sure that you spend the money yourself, otherwise you'll wreck your whole paint job. Otherwise you end up with a multi-coloured pile of shit car. So that's a very good tip to give someone. Just take it from my experience. I've got myself clear coat. Got myself some mixing sticks here. Got myself some cheap wax and grease remover. Got a little bit of clear coat here. This is made by Asco Noble, good clear coat. Got the hardener. You don't go spraying your cars with single stage paint. Make sure you use 2K products. So 2Ks, you got your clear coat and you got your hardener. These single stage acrylic shit and that, how they're putting in mixing it up and putting the clear in the paint, and then you're just putting a little bit of hardener in it, that's bullshit. You know, this is base coat paint here in this can. So what you do is you mix up, this is 2 to 1, I've got written on the bottom here, but this is 2 to 1 this paint. So you mix up on your measuring cup 2 to 1. So if it's 100 mils of paint, you put 50 mils of thinners in it. I've got the thinners here, I've got medium thinners, and I've got fast thinners. And yeah, so when you mix it up, that's 2 to 1, 100 mils of paint, 50 mils of thinners. That's what they call 2 to 1. So if it's easy to remember. The same goes with the clear. And I'll bring you back when I've got my spray gun. This is my spray gun I've got here. It's a little mini touch-up gun, because that's all you want to use when you're doing something like this. I've got a couple inline fielders, and I've got a tack off, and I've got my paint mixing cups. This is what I was saying, 2 to 1, you got 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 2 to 1 there. You can see that. some primer, high fill primer on a car is 4:1, and I'll just bring it back over the compressor. You need a face mask too when you're spraying paint, because the harden's got cyanide in it, chemicals, otherwise you end up getting cancer. But I'm outdoors here, so I'm not too worried about getting cancer, but still make sure I wear a mask at all times. It's got to be charcoal filter in the mask too. When you wax and grease remove stuff, you just tip that wax and grease remove on the rag. You get your rag and you want to drench it. What you doing? And what you're doing here is you're removing any of this polish. Don't know if you've seen that, but that's what we're going to do. We're removing polish from it. You just get your wag and you just wipe it. Right, that's the first step. Now I'm going to spray over this. This is all right because I've got overspray from it, but I'm just going to give this a very light touch up with the paint. I won't have to put no thinners or any primer down, because this is already primed. This is only the undercarriage of it, or the rocker panel they call it. And I'll go and do the other side and I'll take you over there and show you that. I've got a bit of polish on here. This wax and grease remover. You don't want to go spraying over that polish. I've got to get all that off. The wax and grease remover, it removes that stuff very well. I'll just go and get some more wax and grease remover on this rag and wet it so I can get it all off. And I'll show you what the next step is. So once you got your rag and you got it wet, just some of this wax and stuff, it can be quite hard to get off because it's been sitting on here a while. And what I'll have to do is, in a minute, is get one of them softback sanding sponges and I'll ruffle all this up so this is dull. Once I do this, I'll bring you back, because that softback sanding sponge will get in here and get that out of the nicks and grannies. So when you're spraying a car, there's you got epoxy primer you put on your car first, that protects your metal, and then you got your high fill primer. So that's what you prime your car with, and then you block all that high fill primer down, then you can put your base coat down on it. You can spray over the paint too, but you want to make sure, if you've been spot priming your car, is that you primer the whole thing before you paint it, because if you don't primer it, you can end up getting mouldy mismatched coloured panels, because the primer will change the colour of your paint when you're spraying it. Now, you see these people doing that shit all the time. I don't know how people, you know, when you do a couple of jobs and you learn and you look back at your car and you see your work where you've primed it and you put your paint down, you know it's a little bit darker and a bit lighter. I mean, people tell themselves that shit's good. I mean, when you spray your car, you make sure your car's all uniform with one colour before you even put your paint on it. Otherwise you end up with problems like that. That's how you learn. Learn from my mistakes, as they say. Otherwise you'll be ending up redoing your car multiple times. Okay, I'm going to show you how to sand. So what you do is you carefully, all you have to do is very light rub. The only reason I'm rubbing all these other parts is because I'm going to get overspray on them from the paint from under here. because this is already rough, this has already been sanded previously. And all I'm doing is going to give it that roughness look to it. That's all you have to do. You don't want to go sand it anymore. Just a very lightly. I'll just go under here, under the bottom of it, just to make sure that it's all sanded. Just take your time with it. It's early in the morning at the moment. I'm planning on probably spraying this in an hour's time, so I've got plenty of time to get the car ready. It's a little bit of metal rub through there. I'll probably have to get a brush and touch it up with some primer before I spray over that. I'll just wipe it, even though it's only done the carriage, just trying to make the car look a lot better, because the whole car got red. It was, and it spoils the look of the car. Not having this rocker panel like this piece here, it's not sprayed. That's what spoils the car. You actually be surprised that a lot of these areas on the car, when you get a paint job from someone, they miss all these areas. I only missed this one because when I sprayed it, I was spraying the outside, and the gazebo had all the doors and the boot and the bonnet and all that stuff off the car, and I couldn't jack the car up and lift it up off the ground. I should have jacked it up like I got it now, like that. Should have jacked it up with jack stands and stuff to do it, but never mind. It's only going to be a quick fix. All you're doing is taking the shine off it, so it's just dull. That's all I'm doing when I'm sanding it. Just taking any shine off it you see on it, like that. Just take it, just removing that shiny parts off it, and that's it. And this will be ready for paint. That's it. That's this side done. I'll take you around the other side and do that. Just do the same on this side as what I did to the other side. All I'm doing is just taking the shine off it so it's dull. And what this does is it allows the paint to stick properly. don't go seeing it too much. Just the you don't want to be going back to bare metal, because it's going to make more work. Then we'll have to get out and we'll have to prime it. We don't want to primer it. This is just the rocker. Alright, I'll finish this off because this is pretty boring for you to watch, but that's all you have to do. Make it all dull like that all the way along. And once I finish this off and I get ready to set up my air compressor and put my spray gun together, I'll bring this back and I'll show you the next step. So I've just finished sanding and I've just cleaned it all up. Now I have to wipe all this down now with wax and grease. Real heavy. You want to do it, make sure you get a lot on the rag. And when you wipe it down, you have another rag to wipe it off. As you can see, you get all that crap off it. I normally I'll wipe this down about 3 times. Yep. Now I've sanded it, I'll go around the other side and do that, and I'll come back and I'll wipe this down again. And before I paint, I'll wipe it down, I'll dry it off, so it's good to go. And when I get ready for that step, when I'm mixing up the paint, I'll bring you back, but I've got to do that little primer touch up on the other side yet. And I've got to mix that up in a tiny little cap with a few drips of primer and just get a little brush out and just put it on bare metal. And yeah, once I get my spray gun set up and compressor going, I'll bring this back and I'll show you the next step. I'll mix the paint up here. I've got my screwdriver. Have I done that screwdriver? Get yourself a paint mixing cup. I've got a clean rag here. Just make sure it's nice and clean. Going to mix it up 2 to 1. This mark here. I've already shaken my paint. Make sure there's no crack around the top of it. Mix it up. There's 2 to 1 on here. Put it up to the 2. That's on number 2 there. Put your lid back on the paint. Sit that there for a minute. We mix our thinners up to the next stage, which is up to the 1. And that's it. That's your base coat mixed. What I'll do is just mix up my paint some thinners on here. What I'm actually doing is just make sure I wipe this stick with some thinners on the rag, so if there's any contamination on it, it'll get it off. And make sure you keep that rag out of somewhere and just put in your paint. stir around. Now you want to thoroughly stir this paint for about a couple of minutes, and while I do that, I'll bring this back because I need 2 hands. The next stage is get yourself a paint strainer. Make sure you be very careful on this part. Keep your paint in there very slowly. That's enough paint for the time being because this is only a 100ml pot. So drop that straight back in there to cover it up so nothing gets in it. Put your lid on it, and I'll get my compressor going now. Got my compressor here. I'll start her up, and I'll bring you back when I do a test spray out. Make sure your air compressor's got a couple of fills on it too. Now she's pumping up. Just get this spray out. Got your mask here. Got the spray gun ready. And you're ready to spray out. This is the perfect thing to pack in. We only want it like that, very light coats too. Alright, I'll get my mask on and we'll do this touch up. I'll get you on record, I'll hook my spray gun up and I'll show you what to do. All we're doing is spraying underneath it in the hard to get places, just very lightly. You got to take your time when you're doing it. Alright, that looks pretty good for the first coat. I'll go around the other side and do the other side. I'll bring these around there. The key is when you're spraying under the vehicle like this is light coats. We don't want to go trying to pile it on because we're running that. We just want to get light mist. And just take your time, there's no rush doing it. sure your spray gun's only on 25 PSI. When you're spraying a car, this is the hardest part of spraying the car, these rocker panels. I bought this mini spray gun because the conventional one, a real big spray gun, I used a devilbiss GTI Pro to spray the car, but because the thing was so big, I couldn't spray it under here. The only way I could do that if I'd have jacked the car right up. So I brought this mini gun because it's a lot more compact and small, and I'll just give it a couple of coats on both sides. I'm not worried about this, not going to worry about this top piece yet. I'll do that last because I'm only going to just fade the paint. I'm focused on this bottom piece because this is the problematic piece to try and get some paint on it. And I'll give these a couple of coats. I won't put into the, I'll do 3 coats probably, at least under the bottom of it here. And when I come back to spraying the side of it, I'll bring these back into it because it's just repeated the same process, just going along really slow. And yeah. Once I do that, I'll bring in. Alright, I've done under the bottoms. I'm going to spray across here now on the side of the rocker panels. And then once I've done that, I'll get mixed up, ready for me clear. I'll bring in this part. Oh, you're probably wondering why I've got masking tape on the top of the spray gun hole. But when you hold the spray gun upside down, it wants to drip out everywhere. So when I spray it underneath like that, I left it. And that's just so you don't get it all over your hands and it runs out, because the spray gun's upside down, or you know, like this, and if it hasn't got that on it, it wants to run out. Bloody lady on cars is terrible to spray. Nothing's ever easy. You got your spray gun, like as you can see, that's sitting on the ground here. Now it's hard to remove around. Righto, I'll take you around the other side. Righto, so I've got the rocker panel sprayed at one white coat. I think I'll just give it one more brush coat just over the top of it, just to make sure that I'm happy with it. as you can see, I've done one light coat on here and I'll spray it up under there properly. And once I get my clear mixed up, I'll bring this back. Any paint you have, I've just dumped it out of the spray gun then. Back in my can of paint, that's actually the colour on it. I'll give you a look in the light. It's a red metallic. Cost me $150 a litre for this paint, so you don't go wasting it. And I'm just about to wash out my spray gun. I'm just using some cheap lacquer thinners, just just basic all-purpose cheap ass thinners. And I'll rinse the spray gun out, and then after I've done that, I'll put in some 2K thinners in it and I'll swish it round, and then I'll mix up my clear and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, I've got my clear and my hardener open here. I've just washed out my spray gun. Here's 2 to 1 on here, so I'll fill it up to this A section on here for the clear, which is right there. Now I won't need all this clear, but I still want to mix it up this batch, and you just put the hardening up to the B section, which is right there. Put the lids on this stuff. About the spray gun, and I'll just put about 10% just up to the first line, just a smidge. This is it's not a mixed solids clear. This it's like a high solids. I don't like that mixed solid stuff. It's all right, but I think some of the clear can be too runny, and when you go to spray it, you can get a lot of runs. I mean, a lot of spray painters use that mixed solids clear. It's like water, so they don't have to buff the cars and stuff. That's why they use that shit. You get a lot of runs in it too. And the clear coat's not as durable either. So what I'll do is I'll get my stick, I've got to wipe that down again, I'll mix it up, and I'll bring it back when I'm about to test the spray out on my cardboard with the clear, and I'll show you how to spray that. I've got my clear all mixed in. You have to mix it in for probably a good minute. You want to do the same with your paint so the chemicals combine. Make sure you wear a mask, clean all your stuff up properly. And when you go to spray paint a car and you want to do a panel or something, don't use this shit paint. Don't go buying this shit in these spray cans, this 1K shit. And don't go buying that cheap ass clear coat in a spray can and thinking that you're using proper shit. Go and buy yourself some, you know, good clear coat. That's the hardener for it. You mix the clear and the hardener 2 to 1, exactly the same as the paint. And make sure you buy yourself some good primer too. I get sick of seeing these people around the place, like, you know, it's on the internet and that, they're using this 1K primer in a can and stuff and telling people this is how you spray paint shit. That's just a load of bullshit. You know, get yourself some thinners. Don't use this crap to spray your car. This shit doesn't last. This 1K stuff, it's just rubbish. You're not fixing your car properly. This spray gun here cost $100. All you need is a compressor. This is a twin cylinder compressor, 2.2 horsepower. Use that compressor, and all you need is a compressor, spray gun, air line, and you can spray your car. And you don't have to buy this shit. You just buy your paint in a can, and you can thin it out yourself. It's easy to do. You got your mixing cups here. You get yourself some mixing cups. Very simple to follow. You just get about 10 mixing cups. So if you're gonna sand your car back and you don't know where to start, well, first of all, you got to get yourself, I'd say you want at least a 3 or a 4 litre can of 2K primer, and you get the hardener with it, and you want a 5 litre of thinners, you want a 5 litre of clear, and you want a 2.5 litre hardener, and just some shit ass thinners, just some general purpose thinners to wash out your spray gun after you're finished, and you wash your paint sticks. I use these, I've had these for a long time. And some epoxy primer, a 1 litre can of epoxy primer you'd need for a car, or I'd say probably I'd get 2 litres for a large car, and all you have to do is give that. Epoxy primer is not stuff that you sand. So when you're doing this sort of stuff, and say I was doing the whole car, the Juco under here, well, I'd sand all this back first. I'd give it a spray coat, a spray with a 2K epoxy primer, and I'll leave that to set. Now you don't sand that epoxy primer, you just spray it on there, a real light coat, and then you put your high solids primer, 2K high fill primer, or whatever you want to call it, and you mix that up. I think that's 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. It's got to be high solids primer because that fills all the imperfections and stuff in. You have to give that 3 coats or something, the primer. To spray the epoxy, you'll need a 1.3mm spray gun. Probably a 1.8 spray gun would be suitable for the high fill. And you just coat your whole car over in the high fill primer. Then once you block your car down, it's ready for base coat, as long as you don't rub through anywhere. If you rub through, you just have to go over and lightly touch it up with your 2K primer. And once you do that, you put your base coat down just like you see me do here, and you do that. Now you've got to be careful when you're spraying this 2K primer on 1K primer shit, because if some dickhead brought your car off, and some moron has been using this shit, well, when what happens is the 2K paint will actually have a reaction with this, and it'll get all fry up and it'll be all wrinkly all over the place. And this is what pisses you off with people. They get this stuff and they spray it on bumper bars, and they spray it on, like, you know, on the bottom of a door or something. You go to spray your car sometimes, especially people that haven't got a real lot of experience with painting, and you get these fry ups, and then you got to strip that shit off it, and you got to prime it with 2K prime. Then hopefully the prime will settle down, make it settle down when you do it. That's all. When you spray this shit on there, you know, they should never sell this shit. It's not even worth nothing. So all your car manufacturers today, they're all spraying this from probably early 80s or late 80s. All of it sprayed in 2K paint. So if you buy a new car today, say it's a 2021 model, it's all in 2K paint. So you don't have to worry about getting a fry up or anything. But older cars and stuff with this shit, or people have been putting this shit on new cars, touching up, trying to sell it from a car yard or something, well then yeah, you got a serious problem then. But apart from that, all the coating today is good. Now I'll just show you a car that got sprayed from a spray painter here, I don't know, years back. And this is what happens when you use this cheap shit ass paint. I'll give you a demonstration. I don't know if you can see that properly. The crow's feet all in the paint. Hopefully it captures it and you'll be able to see it. But this was sprayed with cheap shit ass paint when a spray painter done this. And that's the typical body shop style. They like to use shit paint on your car too. So you don't want to be going to body shops unless they're reputable. There is some body shops around that do use good paints, but there's a lot of them around there. They're using the cheapest of the cheapest to fix your car. And a lot of them, if they can save a lot of money by doing it, using the cheapest shit possible, it looks good for a little bit and then goes to shit like I just showed you in that car. You get crow's feet and you're painting it. But right now I'm going to get this clear coat in the spray gun. I'm going to put it in through a strainer. I've got a bag of strainers here. I'm going to put it through a strainer quickly and I'll get it ready because I want to spray this clear on the car because it's pretty hot out. Alright, I've got this spray gun, one on about 30 of fire. And because I'm spraying under the car, I don't want that fan patting very wide. I'm very happy with that fan pattern like that. I'm going to open up the needle a bit more to do that then, boys. And I'll sit down here and I'll give you a look what I'm going to do. Right, I've got clear in there. I'll put my mask on because this is very dangerous stuff. This is bad for you. I'll spray underneath again like I did earlier with the paint. And I'll do underneath first and then I'll do the side of the clear after that. That's the first coat of clear on it. I'll go around and do the other side, it's the same process. And once I do that, I'll bring you back and I'll show you that side piece. And that's how you spray. So I've got to do under here, it takes some time. I'll do 2 or 3 coats under there, and I'll do a couple of coats of clear on the top here after I've done that. And I'll bring you back when I do the top side rocker panel. I'll just do under here first on the other side, and I'll give it 5 to 7 minutes between each coat, and then I'll be back as soon as I do that. Alright, we're going to do the rocker panel, the side here, because I already done underneath it, and that will it. It'll be done. Do the same as that to the other side, and that will be it. I'll give it one more coat after this, and then I'll unwrap the car quickly while it's still tacking, after I do the other side, of course. Alright, time to unwrap the car. Plastic. I'll need 2 hands for this. I would like to put you into film it, but it's a bit windy and I don't want the plastic to land in the fresh paintwork just in case it blows underneath the car. And once I do that, I'll bring you back and I'll show you while I'm taking the tape off. Alright, we've done the paintwork. Now the reason why you have to pull this tape off it while it's wet is if it gets a sag or something in it, or the paint goes up to the edge, what happens is if it dries out, it could end up pulling it, ripping a piece of the freshly painted paint off. So that's why you remove the tape while it's still wet. I've got it taped up to this strip really carefully. Plus it's very hot out today, so I want to make sure that I get the tape off the car before it sticks. Because what happens is when you're taking this tape off it, if you leave that in the sun, the adhesive will come off the tape, the stickiness, and you end up you have a lot of difficulty getting it off. I left some tape on there once and it was on a hot day and the stickiness come out of the tape, and oh, I tell you, it took me ages just to get it off. I've got a bit here, it's torn where I've tucked it in. Try and take the tape from the back end. Don't worry about the dog bark in the background there, he's just my assistant. You just got to carefully peel that off, and once you've done that, that's it. And then you got the fun part of cleaning all up your vehicle, which is not very nice. And that's what the car looks like in the sun.